How you doing, folks? Welcome back to another episode of Hot Takes. I'm your host, Marcus, of course, and I have some very disturbing news for those Washington football fans. Now, if you were with me last week, you would know that we did an entire episode pretty much based on what happened with the draft and the offseason with the Washington football team, all the acquisitions, and therefore. So, we found out this week that Ryan Kerrigan, who's been a Washington football team player for the past 10 years, not only has he ended his tenure with the Washington football team, he's decided to stay within the division and become a Philadelphia Eagle. Now, it is very disturbing only because he's an Eagle now. Now, it would have been worse had he become a Cowboy, but thank goodness they weren't even on the table for him. Other teams that, other suitors that were going after him were, the Cincinnati Bengals and also the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know those two teams for sure wanted to take a shot at him, and they had their opportunity. Unfortunately, he decided to stay within the division. So, I'm not going to be like most Washington football team fans where we had one of our beloved players that we've loved for God knows how long, and all of a sudden they stayed in the division, and suddenly we hate them all of a sudden. I don't hate, Ryan Kerrigan. I look at him like a James Harrison type situation where even though he's a little older and he doesn't move as fast as he once did, he can still be very useful. So I understand his point of view. So the fact that he decided to continue playing football doesn't really bother me. But at the same time, as a Washington fan, NFC East, I must tell you this right now. And I know Ryan Kerrigan is not watching this show, but I'm going to talk to you personally. Ryan, you about to get washed. Philly's not getting a win against Washington this year. That's 2 in the books already. I don't care what nobody say. That's 2 in the books. And then you just added fuel to the fire. You stay in the division? You stay in the division. Why didn't you go to Pittsburgh? Why didn't you go to Cincinnati? Okay, all right, well, I can't blame you for not going to Cincinnati. Don't nobody want to go to Cincinnati. You could have went to Pittsburgh, though. Still, I mean, that's still Pennsylvania. But it's okay. It's okay. We're going to wash you, and you just gave fuel to the fire. Chasing the crew coming after you. Don't even worry about that. Now, I do have to say that I'm still happy that he decided to continue his career, but we're going to wash him. That's just what it is. We're going to wash him. Now, I just wanted to start the show off by saying, congratulations. Thank you, Ryan Kerrigan, for your commitment to us, but, it is what it is. You made your choice. Stick to it. Good luck winning the division. We are the defending champions, and though it wasn't the greatest year, we're looking to build on that. The biggest threat the biggest threat this year is going to be Dallas, and then the Giants, who got really good in a sneaky way. Philadelphia didn't really do a whole lot of note. I'm glad they're trying to commit to Jalen Hurts. At least they're trying to on paper. That's what it looks like. We're going to see what they're really going to do with that later on. But at the same time, again, I can't say it enough. We're going to wash Philly this year. They ain't ready for prime time. I mean, I know I just stole something from Deion Sanders, but you know what I mean. They ain't ready for it. Now, moving on. A lot has changed in basketball as well. We have the NBA play-in tournament, and the Lakers are in that play-in tournament as well as the Warriors, and they're actually going to be facing off. Now, as of this recording, the play-in games have started. And while we don't have a victor just yet, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now who I'm taking. Okay? I'm taking the Pacers over the Hornets, mainly because I just like the way Karis LeVert handles the ball. I don't even know if he's going to be playing, to be honest. I haven't really been keeping up with this for real. But Domantas Sabonis is an absolute monster. You can't do anything with him. And if Miles Turner is healthy, he's only adding. He's only adding to that. Boston and Washington. I'm not gonna lie to you. I want Washington to win this game only because I want to see Kevin Durant versus Russell Westbrook in the playoffs. That's a selfish thing for me. But to be honest, if I'm not a Washington fan, but if the Wizards fans know anything about basketball, they want to lose to the Celtics because whomever wins that game gets the honor of getting swept pretty much by Brooklyn. Even if it's a gentleman's sweep, that's what you're gonna get. Now, the losers of both of these games are going to be playing against. Wait, let me look at this again. Mm-hmm. Yes. The loser plays the winner of these 2 games in the East. So if Indiana wins their game and Washington loses their game, they're pretty much going to fight for who's going to play Philadelphia. Now, if Washington is smart, they'll take their chances trying to fight against Indiana. I'm just projecting right now. They're going to take their chances against Indiana, and if they beat Indiana or Charlotte, I imagine it's going to be Indiana, though, they got a better chance at taking on Joel Embiid and the 76ers than they do the Brooklyn Nets. As a matter of fact, if I'm anybody in these playoffs in the Eastern Conference, aside from my Miami Heat, I don't want to play the Nets. Now, speaking of my Miami Heat, we're taking on the Bucks. And as of late this season, we have had the Bucks number. Giannis ain't got enough. Middleton's not on it right now. And Holiday is a pretty good player, but he ain't that guy. So, and by the way, we have a tendency, the Miami Heat have a tendency to heat up, no pun intended, at the right time. So, it's going to be interesting. I got to take them down to 6. I respect Giannis. I give him 2 games. All right. Now, taking it over to the Western Conference, this is where it gets interesting. Now, personally, while I am a Ja Morant fan, that team has been up and down, and I feel like the Spurs are going to be able to take this one. So, the winner of that game will take on the winner of the Lakers and Golden State Warriors game. And the funny part about this is, this is where it really gets interesting. You have Stephen Curry, which most people think is going to win MVP this year. I want Nikola Jokic to have it, even though earlier this year I called for Luka Doncic, but it didn't. I guess it went sideways for him this year. But Luka really should have been in the MVP. He was. I projected him to be the MVP this year, and I'm gonna go down with that ship. I'm sinking with that ship. I'm going down with it. That's the whole purpose of this show. You make a bold claim, you go down with the ship. I said Luka at the beginning of the year. I'm sticking to it. He's not going to win it. Maybe next year. But in all realness, Steph is probably going to get it. But the real winner of that award should be Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. But that's something else. So the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors are going to be facing off for that 8th seed or 7th seed, whichever one it is. So the winner is going to take on Phoenix. Now, both of these teams are kind of hobbled right now, so to say, in 2 different ways. The Lakers are having health issues, and pretty much Golden State's riding the hot hand of Stephen Curry, of course, but he doesn't have a whole lot of help out there. He's got some help, but it ain't like he used to having. So, the winner of this game gets to take on Phoenix. Now, that's not a walk in the park, but, the winner of this game takes on Phoenix, and if I'm the Lakers, I want to play Phoenix. If I'm the Lakers, I want to play Phoenix. That's what I want. But regardless of that, I'm gonna take the Lakers to beat the Warriors, right? And they'll take on Phoenix. The Warriors are gonna go on to face the Spurs. Now that's an interesting matchup as well. The Spurs have a chance to win that game, but whoever wins that game goes on to play the Jazz. Now, if I'm the Spurs, personally, I think the Spurs match up better against the Jazz than the Warriors do. Steph or no Steph, I just feel like, basketball is a team game. So the better team usually doesn't win in playoffs. I'm not going to lie to you. So it'll probably end up being the winner of the Lakers-Warriors plays the Suns, and whoever they meet in the next is going to take on the Jazz. So that's probably what's going to end up happening. My pick to come out of the West this year usually is more clear and concise. But I'm not going to lie to you right now. I'm a little lost. Given that the Clippers, I don't care what no one says, they tanked these last couple of games because they don't want to play, anybody, significant. So they're taking on Dallas. But depending on what Porzingis brings to the table to help Luka out there, I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup. And we're going to see if Playoff P is showing up. That's Paul George. We're going to see if Playoff P shows up for the first time in ever. And because last year we got Pandemic P, as Skip Bayless likes to say, Pandemic P. He just, I don't know what that was last year. Hopefully that doesn't return, but we'll see what happens. Blazers in Denver. While I like the Blazers, I'm taking Denver, even without Jamal Murray. Really, that's a tough call. I'm not gonna lie to you, that's a really tough call. I think that Denver has the length, the ability to stretch the floor a little better. They have more moving pieces to their offense and their defense, to be honest. So I'm gonna give it to them. I'm gonna say that's gonna be a 7-game series, and Denver just ekes it out, and that's really because they're gonna be really missing Jamal Murray. Back to the East, because I didn't do this the first time. Between the Knicks and the Hawks, as a matter of fact, before I get to that part of it, congratulations to the New York Knicks. This is the first time being relevant since 2013. So you're back. At least this year you're back. We'll see what you do next year. But I got y'all taking that against the Hawks in the first round. I got that going 6 games. All right. So congratulations to you. And of course, I already said I got my Heat taking the Bucks out in 6 as well. Now, the playoffs are getting ready to start, and that's going to be a lot of fun. Personally, I was hoping they would do another bubble, but they're not doing another bubble. I enjoyed the bubble last year. That was actually a lot of fun to watch happen. But regardless of that, we're going to move on right quick because the show is called Hot Takes for a reason. And this whole next segment is my hot take. And anyone who's in my sports group on Facebook, they know, well, it's not my sports group, but I'm part of it. The File Cabinet. Shout out to you guys. Y'all know I've been beating this drum for the last few days. And I'm gonna continue to beat this drum, or the horse. I'm going to beat it till it's dead. I'm going to turn it into glue myself. So the Hall of Fame inductees just went in, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm with Rudy Tomjanovich on this one, man. 7 rings. You don't luck into that. Robert Horry belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I'm not saying that because Rudy said it. I've been thinking that for a very long time. Earlier this year, I did a show about, I did a segment on Chauncey Billups and why he's not in the Hall of Fame. And I gave you why. But I think there's something that needs to be clarified here. Criteria does matter. But for some reason, when we're talking about a specific player or what their role was on the team or their impact was or what their job was to do on that team, for some reason, the criteria has a tendency to change based on that player's abilities or what they actually accomplished. Now, I don't care what you say. Your impact has to be felt. And that's something that Robert Horry did very, very well. They call him Mr. Big Shot for a reason. Not Mr. Big Shot. Big Shot Rob. That's what I call him, at least. The man was a clutch shooter. Yes, he only averaged 7 points for his career. That's irrelevant in this situation. You don't luck into 7 championships. You don't. And he impacted each one of them, as a matter of fact. On the Rockets, the Lakers, and the Spurs. He hit big shots for all 3 of these teams that added to the success and to getting those 7 rings. Now, I only bring this up because we have all kinds of players getting in all the time. Now, some people think that if you let Robert Horry in, the floodgates open up. And personally, I think the floodgates are already open because I just found out that Tony Kukoc was inducted into the Hall of Fame for the 2021 class. And Tony Kukoc was marginal at best in the league. Now, he's only getting in because of his overseas career, which was much better than it was over here. And, I feel like, again, criteria matters. You definitely have to take a look at what their impact was. It's not about individual awards all the time. It's not about how many MVPs or how many, everyone wants to change it. They say, so Michael Jordan was the best player of all time. Okay, so then what makes him the best player of all time? It's his impact. Because it ain't his rings. If it's his rings, then he's not the best of all time. That's Bill Russell, right? So you definitely have to take a look at all these things, and you have to specify what the criteria is, and they cannot change from player to player. It has to be impact felt in that situation. What did he leave, like his mark? What did he leave, the game? And I'm going to tell you where Robert Horry left the game. He was ahead of his time. 6'10". He was a big man that can guard anywhere from the 2 to the 4. And in a pinch, he can give you the 5. He wasn't the best rebounder and he wasn't the most physical. But in the pinch, I guess he could give you the 5. He was big enough, right? The man could shoot outside. Shoot the lights out, as a matter of fact. And he only did what he was told to do. He was a hustle player. I always talk about this, being a star in your role. His role was to hit big shots when necessary. If the ball came out with the game went on line, 9 times out of 10, you can hand that thing off to Robert. It's going to be a bucket. It's cash whenever you need it. What's that the 2K players play? Well, I forget which one it was. There was a character called ATM, cash, whenever you need it. That's Robert Horry. That's Robert Horry. Okay, so I don't want to hear about he's not a Hall of Famer because he only scored 7 points a game and he was marginal. I even heard people saying that he was just lucky. Again, you don't luck into 7 championships. You don't. Now, with the Rockets, he was fortunate to be on that first team, but he saved them though. Okay, the ability to hit clutch shots. I'll put it to you this way. There's a saying in basketball, ice water in the veins. That's Robert Horry. That's Robert Horry. Okay? So I'm on this train already. So the hot take for this week, and until it happens, it's not just for this week. My hot take on this subject matter ain't just about Robert Horry. How about we go ahead and specify the criteria for the Hall of Fame, so we can stop having these ridiculous arguments about who deserves to be in, who belongs, and who doesn't belong. Because it ain't about championships. It's not always about individual accolades. So what's the baseline? We don't get votes. We just get to share our opinions. And in my opinion, Robert Horry has a place, especially if Tony Kukoc has one. And I like Tony Kukoc, don't get me wrong, but he wasn't as nearly impactful as Robert Horry. Okay? I'm just perturbed by the idea that he's just not even being thought of as a Hall of Famer. Talking about some Hall of Very Good. What is that? Hall of Very Good. Okay. Like, y'all treating the man like his rings are just like, oh yeah, you won the team. Yay. No. He impacted, okay? Okay, and I'm not saying Tony Kukoc didn't have an impact on the Bulls' wins either. But it wasn't felt the way Robert Horry's was, and 7 times at that. All right, so let me get off that horse. I'm going to stop beating it. So thank you for joining me for another episode of Hot Takes. I'm pretty sure this has been one of my shorter episodes, and I apologize for that, but it's been a lot to cover, and I know I missed a lot of things, and a lot of things I can't even go over on this show in particular because they get a little too personal. So that's, I guess, for another day. I'm going to have to retool that to bring that out to y'all. But I appreciate y'all for standing with me, and I'll see y'all next week, all right? Peace.